When we come back, David Zelman shows you how to create a new life and reach your full potential. This is City Magazine. Stay with us. We're back. This is City Magazine. I'm Lisa Holman. Did you at one point forego happiness for your career? Are you ready to design a new life that you can reach your full potential with? David Zelman from the Transition Institute is here to tell us how to create a new life.
Hi.
And find happiness?
Sure. Why not?
Sure. I think that's what we're all hoping for, is happiness, whether it's a complete fulfillment in our lives or maybe just a touch of happiness every now and then.
Well, I think people would like to be happy all the time. It's not practical. Obviously, there are times in life that you're not going to be happy. But I think what people are looking for is some sense of control over whether or not their life is going in the direction they want it to go. And if they have a sense that they're on track and that the future is a better and brighter place than where they are right now, I think that for the most part today is a happy day.
Well, you've had 20 years of clinical work and consultation work. Have you discovered a common thread in the way humans behave day to day?
It's a great question. I think that we're very similar. I like to make the comparison between a computer, and I'm not up to speed on computers like I like to be, but there's hardware and software. I think at the level of hardware, we're very similar. We're all wired the same way as human beings. If you're disappointed, you'll feel disappointment. If someone does something that irritates you, you may feel anger. If you have a loss, you'll feel sad. So I think at a kind of a hard wiring level, human beings are very similar. What we really like is to be acknowledged, be appreciated, have a sense of contributing and making a difference in the people around us, and having a say in our own lives. And I think that that's what's common to people. What's different, of course, is that we all have a different past, we have different histories, different skills, and we don't follow the same pathway forward.
You talk about possession overload, and I'm from the me generation.
Yeah.
What do you mean about possession overload?
Well, I actually don't call it possession overload, and I don't think there is such a thing. What I do think is that a lot of people that I have worked with, and myself included, we get a lot of pleasure out of things, toys, cars, boats, etc. And while we get a lot of pleasure out of these things, if you've purchased them yourself, you know that that happiness, or the happiness that comes from the toys, dissipates rather quickly. So really, I don't think that happiness necessarily is something that you can maintain by external, something outside yourself. I think happiness really is an expression of something inside yourself, and I don't see anything wrong with toys. I love them, and I think people should have them if they can, but they're not a substitute for an inner happiness and an inner peace.
Well, before we have to go to break, let's start designing a new life.
Okay.
And the first step is self-acceptance and self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness first. Because if you're going to redesign your life and take responsibility, in a sense, for playing an active role in creating the future that you would like to have, you have to know where you're starting from. And I find that many people lack some understanding of how they got to where they are. And if you could start to recognize how you got where you are, you can be more effective at going someplace else in the future. So that's the recognition part. The acceptance part is we have to forgive ourselves. I mean, life is, no one was handed a book that said, here's how you do it. We didn't come with instruction manuals. So we've all done the best we can at figuring out how to do life, how to do relationships, how to do career, et cetera, et cetera. And we really have to accept ourselves as good people, capable. We can do it. I hear people say I can't, and I buckle at that, I bristle at that. I don't think that's the case. I think people can. And with the right frame of mind, I think people can take a much more active role in designing a future they want.
Well, I do want to come back, because the third step is to talk about the past. your past, or
Sure.
that's the second step. Let's talk about the past. So stay right there because I do want to talk about that. I think that's a very important link
Okay.
in the whole happiness. We'll be back in just a few moments with David Zelman, who's helping us create a new life. But first, here's Exposure, UPN 21's community calendar. Stay with us. We're back. This is City Magazine. I'm Lisa Holman talking to David Zelman from the Transition Institute here in Dallas. David is helping us design a new life this morning, a life towards happiness and our full potential.
Okay, good.
How do we know that we are successful and happy?
Well, there are a couple of different ways, and I think the most important thing is that when you're driving in a car, okay, on your way to work or any place, there are certain conversations that you have with yourself, right?
Right.
If you're telling yourself, God, I love it, I love my day, I love what I'm up to, I love where I'm going, this is good stuff, then you know you're happy. If you look forward to going home to your family, then you know you're happy. If you look forward to going to work and being with the people that you're working with, then you know you're happy. One of the people that I worked with recently, in transitioning his life, what he said was, I have 3 criteria. One is, I only want to work with people I love, I only want to do things that I love, and I want to make some money in doing it. And, you know, the money part was really the third. And I think that people who have a happy life really are at work at designing a life in which they love what they do and they love the people around them.
I do want to talk about money later because I know that is a concern of a lot of people.
Yes.
Some people think that money brings happiness, but we were designing a new life in the last segment, and we were down to the second step, which was, I think it's ridding yourself of your past, but isn't our past the way we learn from our mistakes?
Yes, it is not ridding ourselves of our past. That's not quite right. What it is again, an acceptance of the past and not having the past be a limitation on the future. Now, remember these conversations I said people have with themselves when they're driving? We have those conversations every moment of the day, and we don't realize how often we talk ourselves out of having a great life. And that comes from our past. We've inherited that. That's not individual. People wonder what's wrong with them. It's not personal. It's part of the culture of human being, that people wake up and they start to have conversations with themselves that by the time they're out of the shower in the morning, their day's ruined already.
More like self-talk, negative self-talk.
Exactly. And where that comes from is our history, our past, a sense of being human. You know, human beings fail, but many people think they're a failure for having failed at something rather than they didn't do that well. They failed at that task rather than they are a failure. That's a small difference, but it's a huge difference in the way one lives life.
I grew up in a very negative family, and I've really had to work toward becoming more positive, even changing the way I speak about things.
Yes.
But when I'm around certain people that speak negatively, it kind of really jolts me and makes me aware
That's
that,
right.
that negative self-talk is really bad.
Yeah. And we can take responsibility for the people that we hang out with. Sometimes when you start to alter the way you speak and the way you see things, you find that others aren't ready to move on. And I say that suffering is a function of an absence of responsibility. So they're inversely related. The more responsibility someone takes for their life, the more happiness there is. And the less responsibility, the more suffering, because obviously responsibility is the ability to do something about the circumstances. And suffering usually comes from not having a say.
I was telling you that I'm from the me generation, and I know that my generation has, avoided a lot of responsibility. And I've avoided marriage, I've avoided children, because it is a responsibility. Is that a bad thing?
Well, this is not good or bad. You see, that's the past speaking again. And it's not good or bad. What you see, you're uniquely qualified now for some form of relationship in which you don't have the baggage that someone else who had done all those things might have. So at any moment you're at a place where you could begin anew and begin with only a positive view of what's possible in the future. Everything you've done to this point can be used as a way of catapulting you into a brilliant, beautiful, wonderful life. You know, that's the way, and you can have that point of view. You just have to have a certain kind of freedom from the negative conversations that usually bombard us in order to create a life from that positive place.
Well, there's so much more to talk about. We'd love to have you back on the show.
I'd love to be back.
The time went by so fast.
Are we done already?
Thank you. We are done already. We'll
See you in the future.
Really, we'll have your phone number up in the credits. Okay, David. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Lisa Holman. This is City Magazine. We'll see you next time.